Greetings, beloved. I'm Dr. Felicia LaBoy, lead pastor and life coach here at the historic First United Methodist Church in downtown Elgin, Illinois, with another motivational moment from the Bible. These motivational moments are designed to help all of us take what we learn and hear from the Word of God, whether that's during your private devotional time at church, whether you attend in person, online, on the radio. You might hear something else on the radio in a song. There might be something you just don't understand. What we're trying to do here is to help you take the Word of God and make it apply to your everyday life. If you've been tracking along with us, you know that instead of our regular God at the Movies series that we usually do in July, we're doing something a little different. We are looking at various episodes of The Chosen, and we are tying sermons to that. If you all don't know what The Chosen is a wonderful 5-season series that really makes the gospel stories come alive, and they add all the little nuances, or when people, kind of frustrated or like um, just sort of looking like, oh, like this isn't this isn't cool or whatever, or even when people doubt Jesus or what he says or whatever, it really makes the gospel come alive. This is the first week of that series, and I want to encourage you, head over to our website. There's a weekly devotional that tells you what episode we suggest you watch. There's questions for reflection, and tune into the Chosen series. It is wonderful and a great way to refresh all of our understanding around the life of Jesus and his first followers. If you watch this week's sermon, you'll know that we focus on the life of Mary Magdalene. Now, contrary to what most people believe, Mary Magdalene was not a prostitute. She was a person that was tormented by demons. And not only that, Mary Magdalene actually was like an apostle to the apostles. She was almost like a cardinal, very well respected and a leader in the church. Remember, she's the first one to know that Jesus is risen. Remember? So you might want to just like maybe Google or look at, I know the History Channel has a wonderful um, presentation, documentary on her life. But yeah, Mary Magdalene, not a prostitute. She comes from a place called Magdala, but definitely not a prostitute. That's not my point. My point is that because of what she's been through, she's tormented by demons. That's a conversation for another day. And yet Jesus seeks her out. And he finds her in dark and lonely places. And in one place that she's at, it's so dark, and he comes right to meet her there. And he calls her name. And she's like, get away from me. You don't know who I am. And he starts to tell her who he is and lets her know that he loves her and accepts her where she is. Beloved, I think that that's such an important thing that we need to lay hold of, that where we may not see or other people may not see who we really are and what we can be, God sees that. Which is why I love Psalm 139. The entirety of that psalm is wonderful. But in these verses you see next to me, it is incredibly powerful. David is talking about where can he hide from your presence. And here are the words he says to God. Darkness and light are the same to you. I could ask the darkness to hide me and the light around me to become night. But even in the darkness, I cannot hide from you. To you, the night shines as bright as the day. Beloved, no matter where we are in God's hands. Now, some of you always be saying, but Pastor Felicia, I went through this horrific thing, or this happened to me. Beloved, we live in a horrible world. We live in a world that's tainted by sin and tainted by people who do what they do and sin against us and God. Here's what I know. I can't explain why bad things happen to good people. But what I can tell you is that in the midst of the darkness, when we're trying to come out of that situation, God is there. God is there and God sees, and we are not alone. God has promised to never leave us nor forsake us. And if you've been tracking along with me, if you saw last week's Refresh Your Soul moment, then if you haven't, I invite you to look at that, because what that moment is about is that we are radically accepted in God. In Romans chapter 5, it says, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Beloved, the situation you and I may find ourselves in is no big deal to God. Where it looks like there is no light and we can't see our way, beloved, God is still there. And sometimes we have to walk one step at a time. But always we should be seeking God's presence. Then you say, well, Pastor Felicia, I can't feel him. I don't see him. That's where your faith comes in. Do you believe that God is working behind the scenes? Do you believe that God is in the shadows? Do you believe that God knows what's going on? Do you believe that God is taking care of everything in a situation that looks dark to you, but he knows the purpose that that situation has brought and what that's for? We are never beyond the scope of God's gaze. And when we put in God's hands, whatever it is that we're going through, then God works that out. He brings it to light and he repairs it. And it looks like it was supposed to be a part of the grand scheme anyhow. That's what it means in Romans 8 when it says, and we know that God works all things, good things, bad things, really screwed up things. God works all things for the good of those who love God and who are called according to his purpose. I want to invite you, wherever you're hiding, whatever you're hiding, won't you come clean? God knows anyhow. And let God deal with the stuff in your shadow, the place that you are broken or that you tried to hide away from yourself. Take off the mask and show God who you really are. He knows anyway, and he knows better than you, and he still loves you. I think that's wonderful news. Great news. Exciting news. Beloved, God can and God will help each of us as we go through this life together, and help us to see and to do what we cannot do alone. Isn't that good? It's great, I think. I think it's outstanding news that God does that with us. I pray that you'll stick around for this week's Refresh Your Soul moment. You know, these have been really good because they are about what God does when we are submitted to him, and to let us know that we are not alone. I love this song by Carrie Joby. It is, I am not, you are not alone. No matter where we are, light or darkness, God is with us. Hope you remember that. I'm going to work on it. Be blessed, beloved, and I'll see you here next week. I am Dr. Felicia LaBoy, lead pastor and life coach here at the historic First United Methodist Church in downtown Elgin, Illinois. See you soon. Won't you join us for this exciting month doing a deep dive in the Chosen? I promise you that you'll be blessed. Talk to you soon. Thanks.